It's very, very rare you get a character who doesn't have to listen to the social order, and he just sort of says whatever comes to his mind first.
They'll vote to ensure they have a strong leader whose actions speak louder than words.
Hi, I'm Sam Retford, and I play Dougal MacKenzie in Blood of My Blood, and this is Set Stories with Collider. They definitely know the war chieftain, but they certainly don't know the boy who grows into that man. They're very, very different people, definitely different characters, and that is such an amazing privilege to be able to take that into your hands, and along with all of the HODs at Blood of My Blood, be able to develop this aesthetic and lore that eventually grows into this amazingly troubled man. I looked quite deeply into the generational trauma that would have been passed on by Red Jacob, this inherent necessity within the patriarchy of Dougal needing to assert himself as a leader in order to be considered a man, and how far that cuts into him without him realizing. Those physical scenes were just the best day I had on set. I remember the day we did the shinty and another fight scene, that opening character introduction with Dougal. I had just so much fun. They were the best days because you just get to go out and roll about like a kid and play with swords. I could never call it work. When we fly back to Scotland, I think we jump straight into some more physical Dougal, not to give anything away. It's been a huge integral part of me enjoying Scotland so much. And yeah, just to be outside, I love the location days and love working with the stunt guys as well. It's such a thankless job, and they do it so beautifully, make us all look so very heroic, which is certainly not the case on the day. They're definitely doing all the heavy lifting. There's the preliminary, which is just us as actors making sure our bodies are prepared for the role, so as much as there was an aesthetic side to building Dougal's physique, there's also the practicality side. So yeah, he needed to be this big looming physical presence that Graham McTavish brings to the role, but then he also needs to do a hell of a lot of sprinting and a lot of moving about and make sure we're not getting injured. So, there's a lot of plyometric training that goes on top of the hypertrophic training in the preliminary stages to just make sure we're nice and well prepared. And there's a hell of a lot of stretching in the morning, and then we'll sort of get in and run it through in a rehearsal with the stunt team in the studio, and then we'll get there on the day and rework things on location. But there's nothing that can prepare you for moving a fight sequence, a battle sequence, from a lovely padded floor to being in 10 kilos of wool and uneven ground in the middle of a forest in the freezing cold with horizontal rain. But that is just part of it. It drives the whole thing, and all of that passion that you see, that is our adrenaline running through and really developing those fight sequences into what is so chaotic about Outlander. Matt, our showrunner, puts it very well that Scotland is number one on the call sheet on this show, and to be in service of Scotland in all of these scenes is really quite an honour. I mean, I did a lot of going out and walking in the hills before starting filming, just going out and spending a bit of time up in the Highlands, and it was freezing cold, it was snowing, and I was camping, and it just rained and rained and rained, and there was like 30-mile-an-hour winds, and I remember just thinking how bitter and miserable I was, and that reminded me of just like, this is only one day, and I'm about to go back to my lovely central heated house and have a steak, but yeah, you think about it, this is going to influence so much, waking up every day to that bitter cold. And yeah, so it definitely was an influential part of those scenes, especially when you're trying to keep your eyes open while you're getting splattered by the rain and keep the mouth moving so that you guys can hear what we're saying when it's freezing cold. But it's so much fun for me. Yeah, it's a real adrenaline surge. Once you've spent enough time with the character, you start to empathize with all of their decisions. And so when a new script comes in, maybe instinctively, it's not something Sam would do, but it's something Dougal would do. But because I'm so passionate about him and his story, you yourself as an actor become very sympathetic with where he wants to go. So now at this stage in the process, I relate to everything that Dougal does, not in a personal sense, but almost as a friend, almost paternally. I wouldn't say I find it challenging, but I really enjoy how headstrong he is, because that is so much fun to play. It's very, very rare you get a character who doesn't have to listen to the social order, and he just sort of says whatever comes to his mind first and does whatever comes to his mind first. And that's really interesting dynamic to play. I think a lot of characters in the modern world are we're held back by these walls of tradition or walls of social order. I don't know if we ever discussed discussed it per se because it fell into place so naturally during the audition process. And the writing does it all for us. Like you read it on the page and it's inevitably frustrating to get through because they aren't listening to each other, and us as readers and, you know, you as audiences will be watching it going, just listen to him, just listen to Colm, or, you know, just listen to Dougal, or just listen to Ned or Ellen. But they don't, and they just keep butting heads, and there's something so frustrating about that, because obviously, you know, you just want the best for the clan and they think they're doing the best that they can with what they have. I think with me and Seamus, it's all about coming to work and just allowing each other to rile each other up in those scenes. And I think the dichotomy of the two characters does that for us. You know, you've got this really Apollonian and Dionysian dynamic between the two of them, and that in itself is enough to drive our relationship forward. Probably accent work. It didn't necessarily come from my career, but I moved around a lot. My accent changes all the time. So when you come and take a project like this that's a little bit more dynamic, to take on a Scottish accent isn't something that necessarily anyone can prepare you for.
Oh, a duck across the belly might change a few minds.
I really love looking into the musicality and the intricacies of the voice. That was a really exciting and fun part of the project. Seamus has us in stitches all day, every single day. That man is a comedy genius. Seamus has these wonderful bits. Him and Connor are just unstoppable together. Rory keeps me sane at work, and Seamus keeps us entertained. There was one day the other day we had a heat wave in Scotland, which to you guys out here is not a heat wave, but sort of the sun came out basically. And we all hired a boat on Loch Lomond, and we took the boat out to this little island. You could only take a certain amount of people on the boat, so all the guys got in canoes, and we tied each other together and like were driving this boat, towing everyone along. And that was a really, really beautiful core memory. I think Tony's realised now I stole his map. I stole a map from Leathers. He went round to the props camera like, "Where's my map? I'd quite like to take the map home." And he was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry, someone's taken it." He's like, "Who's taking it?" And they're like, "Sam's taken it." He's like, "I'm guilty. I'm gonna go." And I've got it framed up on the wall now. Every time he comes around, he takes a photo. "You got my map in the corner there, Sam. Did I take anything else?" No, I don't think I took anything else. I really want to take the kilt. I really want Dougal's kilt. Ooh, fantastic. I love Crafty. I've never done a job with Crafty before. Sometimes they have these lovely little protein balls, and they're very nice, like coconut and stuff. That was really, really nice. But I'll have anything, and I will snack, and I think they know that, because every time I go back to the Easy Up after a take, there's some sort of snack or something waiting around. I always travel quite lightly. Well, I try to always bring my lines in my head. I try to always know them, try my best. But yeah, I sort of try to show up empty-handed. There's so much waiting around, so you can always find yourself flicking through your phone. So I try and leave that behind as much as possible. But far more educated people than me are very good, and they always bring books. But I know I'm going to have Seamus to entertain me, so I don't necessarily need to bring anything.
Sam, thank you so much for your time. It was so nice to meet you, and it was so fun talking about the series, your character. I'm really excited for people to see.
Oh, that's sick! I'm excited to see it. I haven't seen it yet, so I'm gassed, and I've never watched anything I've done before, so I'm super excited to see this.
So you're just tuning in, like you're a fan like everybody else, right?
I'm a big fan of this show. I think it's going to be amazing. You're all going to love it.